Hi, everybody. It's Friday. Yay. I'm excited that it's Friday. It's been a long week for me. Woo, yes, it has. But for the most part, I'm good. And I'm excited about next week. I got a few more podcasts and interviews to do for my book. And that is awesome. I was thinking today, I was driving home from, a town, a few towns over in Towson, actually. And I was thinking about a concept, right? It just fell out of the sky. Like most of the things do that I talk about, they just come from nowhere. Um, Normalized infirmities, right? Sometimes, if you take a look at a relationship, like a marriage, let's say a marriage, and there's a person in the marriage that is always taken for granted, taken advantage of, walked over, let's just say cheated on, all that stuff. Why is it hard for people to get out of relationships that are toxic? And what I came up with is this. We can normalize the things that are most detrimental to us because we don't want to take the risk of being without that person. We feel like the risk of being without them is greater than the infirmity or the effects or the negativity that you receive on a regular basis. So we continue to stay in those relationships and we make sure that we are there, but most of it I think is it's a game. It's a mental game. It's psychological because if someone isn't good for you, if a situation, even jobs too, you can put this in the category of a job because I did it myself. It almost killed me. I just wanted to prove that I was worthy, right? I did. I wanted to prove how much I cared about my job. I wanted to prove how much I cared about a person. I normalized an infirmity and made it okay for things to happen that were detrimental to me completely. Right? I think we grew up in a culture, especially church and, black people in church as well. We grew up in a church, in a culture where we're not taught to focus on how we feel in situations. What am I feeling here? What am I thinking about here? How is this affecting me? Do I feel good around this person? Do I feel good at this job? We normalize infirmity because we don't want to do the work to get rid of the infirmity. So what happens when you get sick, right? You start to feel different, right? You start to just be like, I don't feel like myself. I don't think this is okay. I don't think this is right. What's going on? And the thing is that we've normalized the infirmity so much that we can't even see what's making us sick. Sorry, just a little passionate about it because I'm just learning it at 38, right? And I know that a lot of people don't pay attention to themselves. A lot of people don't pay attention to their physiological responses to different things and their emotional responses to different things and different people because you want to be loved. That's it. You want to be loved and accepted, and you want to. And so you put yourself out there. You put yourself, your best foot forward, even though it's not being reciprocated or it's not being given back to you at the same time. So you continue to die in a normalized infirmity because you want to be loved, right? That hit me, boy. Woo, that hit me. But I already am loved. I already am loved. You know why? Because it's one thing to love other people, but it's a totally different experience to love yourself, right? And a lot of times when in situations sometimes that we are normalizing the effects, the negative effects that are happening to us, we get stuck in a mindset, in a constant wheel of thinking that, oh, I can take this because I love this person. Oh, I can take this because I love this job. Oh, I can take this because I love this church, right? This is what we do. This is what we're taught. This is what we're fed, to sit there and take it until you die. No, ma'am. No, sir. The greatest thing my counselor could ever tell me, and she said, Michelle, sometimes the best thing for you is the best thing for other people. Right? Blew my mind. Like my therapist is all that. She's all that in the bag of chips, because she can keep up with me and my like this thought process and the way I talk, and like I'll go from one subject to another just because I'm hyper, and that's natural, but she can keep up. But we don't think about ourselves. I've grown up around women who don't think about themselves. Right? They're constantly putting themselves in situations that are taxing and that are depleting them and their energy and their joy and their laughter and their happiness and their peace, just because they want to be loved. We cannot afford anymore to be in a position or a situation that is toxic just to receive the love back from that situation or that person that has no intention of loving us in the first place. Right? That's the thing about it. People sometimes are drawn to that desire for love because they know they can manipulate their way around having to do it at all. Because if you got somebody that's really in need, it's just like a supply and demand. If you got something that is rare, right, and then there's a high demand for it, you can charge whatever you want, right? You don't have to charge. You don't have to be reasonable. And the desire to be loved sometimes will create a normalized infirmity that will cause us to die emotionally, physically, and spiritually. I know somebody right now in a situation like that is being treated terribly. You hear me? And I reached out to this person. I was like, hey, are you all right? You good? It's like, yeah, Michelle. Like, yeah, okay, just, I'm just here for you if you need it. And then they start going into their spiel. Well, they did this and this person did that. And I'm just like, well, why are you still there? Right? Now, sometimes you got to separate to actually fix things. Sometimes you got to detach yourself to actually fix something in you. And when it becomes about you, then that normalized infirmity becomes an infirmity. And then that pain starts to happen. That pain starts to hit. And what does pain do? Pain tells us that there is something wrong. So while we're normalizing that infirmity and we're normalizing that situation so that we can just say, oh yeah, I can take it because I'm strong enough. No, you're not. Eventually, you're going to wear down. And God would never put us in a situation or in a place or in a position to continuously deplete, because he said, I come that you might have life and that more abundant, right? There's no abundance in that type of situation. And the thing is when you finally detach and you finally get to the place where you're just like, you know what? This was good for me. There is a calm and a peace that happens that explodes around you and that situation to show you, hey, you gave all this because there's a void, right? When you detach yourself from things, people, and situations, there's always a void. And then that peace fills it up. Hey, this is what you were missing, Michelle. And then we look at God, we're like, God, how can you let us go through this? How can we do this? How can you let this happen to us? And God's like, well, I just showed you the signs the whole time. I was there. I was like, no, you're not supposed to do that, Shell. No, Shell. Keep going, Shell. Don't stop there. But because I didn't recognize the love that I had from God in its entirety, in its fullness, I compromised my heart and normalized infirmity. It ain't God's fault at all. It's not God's fault. And for all intents and purposes, it's not even our fault. Because we were made in the likeness and the image of God. God desires love. God is love. God desires it as well as he is it. That's how we are. We desire it and we give it. We are love to the things and people that we deem receptive of our love, or that we need to love us back. But sometimes you're pouring into a cup that has no bottom. And then when you go back to get a drink out that cup, it ain't nothing in there, because you fail to realize and fix the fact that there is no bottom. Go get another cup. All that time, all that energy, all those tears wasted. And the thing is, the situation repeats itself. So the first time an infraction happens, you're like, okay, I can love through this. Okay, I can do that. But you never really take into account what it did to you the first time. So the second time it comes around, you're like, wait a minute, but I loved there. I was devoted there. I didn't leave at that moment, and it's done again to me. The anxiety in between the two instances is so great that it blinds you from the fact that, hey, you probably should have cut it off or left it alone there. But because of love, because of our desire to love and to be loved, we normalize the situation so that it can happen again. And then the second time, probably worse. I don't know if it will ever be a place or a point or a position for a situation or a person to even realize that they were the infirmity to you, because you loved them so hard that they thought they didn't do anything wrong, because you forgave them so quick and so easily and so consistently, they didn't even recognize that they were an infirmity to you. But every bit of pain that I have ever experienced has turned out and developed into wisdom. Every frustration has turned into an opportunity, because what keeps happening is I keep finding out things about myself that I can use later, not to have to deal with anything like that again. The normalized infirmity will leave you in a broken space. We've got to start to be aware of how we feel. We've got to start to be aware of how different things affect us. We've got to pay attention to ourselves. We got to say, hey, Michelle, you okay? Michelle, what's going on? Michelle, I know you're strong. Yep, we know that. Michelle, we know you love hard. Yep, we know that too. Michelle, we know that you're forgiving. But how are you? Right? So that's all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I'm very, very grateful for my lessons. I am, and I will never, ever stop learning. I never want to stop learning, because the more I learn, the more God expands in my spirit and in my mind and in my perception and how I see things. The more I see myself, the more I evaluate and critique and criticize and sit there and just go through the catalog of feelings and emotions, the more I do that, the more God reveals to me about myself and the things that need to change. So I think that's all I have for today. You guys have a blessed day, a blessed weekend or week, whatever, whenever you're looking at this. And hope you guys tune in again. All right. Bye.